All right, man, here we go. Thanks for jumping in. And the question of the day is, you ever have a conversation with somebody and halfway through the conversation, maybe at the end, or even later that day, you're like, son of a bitch, the world is such a much better place with somebody like that in it. Well, I got one of those for you today. But of course, I got to get some housekeeping out of the way. I want to give a huge welcome to the B-Raw family, to Craig and George, High-Speed Daddy. These guys make very unique, functional stuff for today's parenting. I really enjoy my High-Speed Daddy diaper bag. I've had it before my son was born. He's a little over 2 now. And we use it on the regular, just about every day for everything you can imagine, from a grocery bag, because in New Jersey, stores were banned from having reusable bags, so you always got to take bags. And of course, I always forget mine, but I had my son and the diaper bag with me the other day at the store, so it became a grocery bag. And I also use it as a tactical bag when I go run errands as well. It's super versatile, and they got a lot of other great stuff in there, from lunch bags, blankets, and everything else on the website. Would love for you to check them out. Use the link in the show notes. It'll tell them I sent you, and while you're over there, give them hell for me, will you? And I can't go any further without giving a shout out to the crew over at Live Rishi. I've been using this product for going on 10 years, man. I use the tincture. That helps me relax and sleep. You put it under your tongue, man. If you have some trouble sleeping, you need to check this stuff out. It works amazing. And the Rishi Rub, I'm a big fan of. Keeps my joints and muscles feeling good. Just recovering from a racquetball injury. It's running around the racquetball court and like somebody shot me in the calf, man. Woo! But with some ice and Rishi Rub, I am as good as new, and we'll be back shortly, swinging the racket again. As you all know, I love a good comeback story. In Charmaine, the new CEO over there, they went through some trouble because, well, people will be people, and some people got greedy. They had to come back from some crazy stuff, and I am honored that they're going to come on the show and tell their story. I think you'll find some inspiration in that. So I'd love for you to go over there, support them, who support me, get those guys back going. It's great company, great product. Again, I've been using them for close to 10 years, and I don't have a single complaint about any of that stuff. LiveRishi.com, use the code word TABLE50. It's going to let them know I sent you, and you're going to get 50% off. Yep, half off your whole order, your entire order. So get over there, check it out. And of course, a little information about the show you're listening to. If you're new to the show, thanks for jumping in, and much love to all my listeners as well. I love what I do here. And what you're about to listen to is a normal length show. I got 2 types of shows that I do within the podcast, within the platform. It's about 90 minutes long, 60 to 90 minutes long. I'm talking to a guest or two. Most of the time, it's just one. And we talk a little bit about everything and anything, and have a great time doing it. If it makes you laugh, smile, you learn something, I would love for you to pass that along to, 7 or more people. That would be great. And then on opposite weeks, I do what I call B-Raw Bites, and it's about 10 to 15 minutes long. It's just me yelling at you at this through this microphone. Whatever's on my heart and in my mind, and getting a lot of great feedback from that. And I do that live on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're listening to this in the audio version, I would love for you to get your ass over and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then, of course, everything and anything you need to know about the show is over at my website, brawpodcast.com. And Instagram's a great way to get a hold of me as well, and that's B-Raw Podcast. All right, we're going to get on to this show. Man, I can't tell you how great it was to connect with Robert. Truly enjoyed our conversation. He is a counselor for victims and survivors of rape and sexual violence. So I need to give you all a warning that this content, if that bothers you or you were triggered by it, you need to move along. You can jump over to my website to find different content. But Robert has been doing it 15 years, and it's countless the amount of people that he has served and helped, and he considers it his calling. Great guy, and he's got some incredible stories. But you know what? Like always, I'm going to let him tell you all about it. Let's get to it. Boston. How do you say it? Boston? One of the...
Close.
I know. I ain't got no I can't do accents, dude. God damn. Hey, man.
That's your Jersey accent, isn't it?
Well, I got a mixture. I was born and raised in upstate New York, till I was 19. And I lost a bet and I went to Colorado for 20 something years. So I got like a New York, Canadian, Colorado accent. So depending on what I'm talking about, it's depending on what accent you get.
Now I have to know what the bet was.
Oh, if I was gonna leave or not.
Oh.
Well, I said, fuck
and you
that.
said I'll do it.
I'm out of here. So
Yeah.
went to Colorado, and my dad goes, "You don't even need a map. Just get on Route 80 till you hit Colorado Springs." And I said, "Okay."
Mm.
Threw what I had in a pickup truck. Had some cash in my pocket, and out I went. Had a good time, man. Ended up working for Coca-Cola for 20 years. So, yeah, it's just started as a stock boy, truck, all that good stuff, and then worked my way up through management. Great company to work for, and that's the Coke North America. That's like the real Coca-Cola, not a distributor or not a affiliate. That's the true mother company. But yeah, and you've been in Boston your whole life? What the hell's going on in Boston? We got it's cold up there. You got to have beanie on.
Dude, it's been wild, man. It hasn't been that bad of a winter. So like it was a little chilly today, but it's been like really warm. It's been nice.
We got 4 or 5 different types of weather today in about 6 hours.
Yeah, that sounds like Boston.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like crazy rain where you could hardly see in front of you. 10 minutes later, sun's out. It's beautiful. Then the wind starts blowing. It was nuts. And we got hail. I was like, holy shit. This is all right, man. Get a little variety today. I'm all right with that. But how long you been up Boston? I'm sorry. How long you been up there?
I've been here my whole life. So I'm 37 now.
Born and raised in Boston.
That's right.
I'll get the accent, dude, by the time we're done.
Yeah. we don't really use the letter R, so we don't say the letter R.
Right.
So a Boston accent is like, I got to get my car.
Right. I got, car and go to the bar.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome. What is it? Shame. No, that's like Detroit or something. Wasn't there a TV show up in Boston? Not, I know fucking, is it Cheers? No.
Yeah. Cheers.
Was it Cheers?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought Shameless was in Boston. I don't know where the hell I got that idea.
Oh, wow. Dude, Cheers is still there. Cheers is still there.
The original restaurant?
Yeah, you can still go there.
Oh yeah? When I had the video company, we went up there for a shoot, and we went to Cheers, and they had a cutout of the big guy with the curly hair, Norm.
Yeah.
Norm.
Yeah.
I put my arm around, did the whole tourist thing. But so do you run in the marathon?
No. No.
I don't. You're not a runner?
Nah, dude. My friend once did when we were in college, and I was like, yeah, man, I'll train with you for a little bit. I was down there. At the time, I could run probably 5-7 miles. But he kept going. I'm like, I'm all set, man. Like physically, maybe I could do it, but mentally, I'm all set. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, that's where I run into. I kind of get bored, and I don't know. I just can't get set to run that long. My wife trains for triathlons and all that, and I ride. We were down at Long Island Beach, down the shore in Jersey. It's all flat, right? And she goes, I got to go on a training run. You want to go with me? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And we're standing out, and we rented a house. You rent a beach house and all that. So I come out, and there's a beach cruiser. One of them bikes. I was like, oh shit, I'll follow you on this, dude. I had a hard time keeping up on that. I was like, I don't know how you run like that. I'm just not a runner, man. Nope, never have been.
I mean, I could run for a little. I can do a little bit, but not marathons.
No. I think we ran when I first met my wife. We were in New York City for an event, so we had a hotel and stuff. And she's like, "I'm going to get up and go on a morning run. You want to go with me?" And we just met, and I was like, "Yeah." Because here I'm trying to impress her and do all that. And and it was raining. My nipples ended up bleeding because my shirt. It was not a good thing, dude. It was not a good sight. But the thing is,
Did she love you for it though?
she loves me all day long, dude. She thought that was,
Okay.
she still tells that story, dude. Dude, like as of 2 days ago, I'm 268 pounds, dude. For me to run miles, no, ain't gonna happen. So, but what do you go to school? You went to school up there, right?
Yeah.
In Boston. And then how the hell did you get into your, I guess we're going to call it passion? Would you call it a passion? How would you describe what you do?
Yeah, I would call it a passion. I'd call it a lifelong calling. I would call it a lifelong calling from God. And it's something that, I started when I was a senior in college, and it's something I've been doing now. And, I'm currently in it for 15 years. And I've had tons of ups and downs and many different experiences, meeting tons of different people, people who have experienced true horrors, and many people have come out of it and lived, very healthy lives. So, their experiences and their stories have, even continued the passion, and they've been very inspirational throughout this time. So I call it a blessing, and I love what I do.
Now, how did something happen to you? And then you're like, hey, I got out of this, or this happened to me and I found that this works. So I'm going to help other people. Like, how did that come about? Because, I mean,
No.
In a way, that's it is a serious and dark matter. And we'll get into it here, what we're talking about. Obviously there's descriptions in the reading and people clicked on the button, but like, why did you go down that path? Like, holy shit, dude, that's not sunshine and rainbows.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, man, I was senior in college, and I was a criminal justice major. So I was taking a class on women in crime. So it was really cool, dude. We're talking about, female gang members, women in prison, things like that. And there was a part on the class that specifically dealt with sexual violence. And so we were reading a book on rape, and things were just hitting me. I was just getting pissed off. I was getting things were just really hitting me deep with that book. And then 3 women came in to my class. They came in to make a presentation to us. And I was like, I have to be that. I got to go to that class. And so they came in and they talked to us. And I was in awe with these women, man. They were like angels to me personally. I found them so strong and so gentle and so intelligent. And I was like, how they do this every day? Like, they do this for work every day? Like, how do they do this? Right. And throughout the training, man, they showed us a 6-minute interview, really a reenactment of a perpetrator, and that drove me nuts, man. That was I had this scary rage kind of boil up inside of me, and then that rage turned into like a deep disgust where I really thought I was going to throw up, in my own chair. And respectful to everyone in their beliefs, but God said to me, will you help? And I was so nervous. I was so scared. I had every negative thought kind of come at me. And I literally just said, fuck it. And there were women, there was opportunities to volunteer after class. And like I said, I just said, fuck it. And I went up to them and I said, hey, I'd like to volunteer. Can I help out? And they're like, oh yeah, they took down my information. And then I ultimately ended up beating people out for an internship. And my life's never been the same ever since. I've been doing it ever since that moment.
So wait a minute, real quick. Beating people up for an interview or beating people out for an intern?
Both. No. Beating people out. Yeah. I could probably say it better than that. But yeah, man, they ultimately chose me over other people. And
Okay.
And it was really cool to be chosen for that. And I never stopped doing it. And so it was as simple as like, I just wanted to help in any way. I could have, cleaned the toilets. I could have made photocopies. I could have done counseling sessions, like whatever they wanted me to do, I would have been cool with. And I did end up doing that. And like I said, it's continued in a passionate way, and I'll do this as long as I'm able to. If I'm effective, I'll do it.
Sure. Now so backing up just a little bit, got a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
when the three ladies, just to clarify, they were counselors at that time. They were not victims, or both.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
They didn't come in and disclose. And even when I was working in the office, no one, people weren't coming up and sharing their own stories. In fact, maybe I was naive because, I remember one day it hit me. I remember saying to myself, wait, have these women been raped? Like, because I didn't know or think, I didn't really know. So I couldn't say if they were or were not. But I know they were really special people. And
Okay.
I would say people that do this, those who do this work and do it for the, genuine right reasons, are doing really important things.
Yeah, and then going back to, you were saying you would, make photocopies and clean the toilets and stuff. And I believe, okay, so here's these ladies that came to you, right? That made a presentation in front of you, made an impact.
Yeah.
How many people behind these ladies in an organization are doing their thing and making an impact that nobody ever sees, but they're doing it because that's what they truly feel that their calling is, or their passion, whatever motivates them. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And then what was the other one? Oh, man, forgot. I just wanted to make sure that those ladies weren't, for some reason, I had in my mind that they were victims and they were coming to share like their story. And then,
okay, got it.
Yeah. I just want to make sure they're.
So they weren't, but we do that as well. So these specific women, two of them, one was a lawyer and one was a legal advocate, and one was a community educator. So there's,
Okay.
there's obviously legal sides to these crimes.
Sure, of course.
And it was really interesting to hear that side of it. But there's also community education. They go and they make presentations. They're educating people on the realities of sexual violence, and all of them are counselors just by doing the work in general. But we do have what are called survivor speakers, and so these are people that do go to classrooms or organizations, and they do share their stories. So they're very different. So yeah, that does exist, and that's always incredibly powerful.
Oh, I can imagine. And then, you say there was a calling from God, right? Now, has God always been in your life, or did that happen that time? Like, have you grown up Catholic or whatever you might have grown up? So that religion has always been in your life?
So I was raised in a Roman Catholic way. I don't currently consider myself a practicing Roman Catholic. I personally, this is beyond religion. This is much bigger than religion. So my personal religious beliefs had nothing to do with what happened in that classroom that night. But my faith in God has been something that has always strengthened me in this work, in these tough times. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was getting to. I didn't, were you an atheist until that point and you saw this and all of a sudden everything happened, So I just wanted to see the road.
Dude, it's interesting, man, because my goal was never, in my line of work with tons of people, like you said, people, it's mostly women who are doing this work that you never hear of, that it's a mostly volunteer, organization where people are volunteering their time to really help people out. And I would never come in and talk about my religious and spiritual beliefs. It was more, I'm here for the cause, and how can I help in this moment in time, and what are we doing together? And if someone ever asked me, I would bring it up, but it was never that. So it's great that there are so many people that don't have those beliefs, or don't have spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs, and they do really special things. And I would never diminish, their work that they do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, 100%. But I was just trying to see, the lightning bolt strike or something theory.
Yeah. No, it wasn't for faith, but it was more in like a lifetime of dealing with really like intense evil and really dark shit, as you could say.
So that's saying that you've been through some dark shit.
I just have been through by doing the work.
Oh, okay.
So like when people come to me, and there's many people that don't feel comfortable talking to me, that's more than okay. But some do. So when people, open up, and it's the first time they've ever shared something as horrible as like childhood sexual abuse, You're essentially, they're essentially releasing things, and they're releasing things on you. And so that you kind of get into their world in certain ways, and you meet them where they're at. And so that alone brings on the darkness, if that makes sense.
So for 15 years, you've been doing this.
Yeah.
And you've been hearing these stories and helping these people. Does that, what I'm thinking of is, when you go into a room full of smoke and you come out and you smell like smoke, right?
Mm-hmm,
so now you've been helping all these people for all these years. I mean, how do you not carry that?
I do.
You do carry it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's heavy.
Yeah, that's, dude, that is heavy. Oy.
It is heavy, yeah.
Holy shit. God bless you, dude. Good for you. Oh man, that is, because I can't even, probably the worst thing that something super bad that I can come up with, probably don't even come close to reality. The shit that happens. Do you agree? Like I could come up with a scenario that somebody's been in, or I've heard on this show, people come up with, and reality is always fucking crazier than fiction, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, please. Absolutely.
I can't even imagine some of the shit that you've been told. Holy Christ, dude. Now,
dude, it was crazy. It was crazy, man. I was, we were at a concert once, and a dude was trampled in a mosh pit, and he was freaking out. And we helped him out, and we were getting him out of the club, and he was just having PTSD. I don't know what happened to this guy, but like something was happening to him, and it was me and a couple and his friends, and there was another guy there. And the guy, eventually we started talking. He's ex-military. He's like, "Hey man, I got PTSD, I understand what it's like." I said, "Hey man, thanks for your service, man. You've risked your life for us." And he said, "You risk your sanity." And I was like, "Wow, no one ever said that to me before."
Oh, dude, that's amazing.
So my point of that is like there are horrible things that happen, but that shouldn't even like negate the pain that someone else experiences, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like just like not it's not like a scorecard or like how much is worse than others, but can things always be worse? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, the thing, I guess the classic line or the classic scenario of we'll say a therapist is, if a therapist is a professional for 25 years, people come and tell them everything, and now they carry it, right? So that's energy, right? So if I tell you something, I feel better because I got the energy out of me. Well, that energy's got to go somewhere, dude. And it lands with you, with a lot of this stuff. So, yeah. Damn, dude. Whoo. So do you work in the prison system as well?
No, I actually teach in schools. So this work, it's not like I work a 9 to 5 job where people are telling me these horrible things for 8 hours a day. That's not what happens. What happens is it can happen anytime, and it can happen oftentimes when you least expect it. I could be, I could be in a job. I could be in a library. I could be in a bar having a drink. I could be at a family gathering, and someone somewhere will somehow end up disclosing something, and that can lead into like a 2-hour conversation. So it's like it's lifelong work, but it's not like a 9 to 5 thing.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So like I saw when I was researching you as well, you're speaking at schools and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And did I read? Okay. Now that somebody hears you speak, do you let them know, like during your time there, that you can reach out to me? So you could be home on a Sunday night and your phone rings and it's somebody that you was in a crowd that you spoke to 6 months ago, and now they got the courage to call you and wanted to talk. Does that happen?
It does. I try to make it as comfortable as possible when I speak. So, I'm actually giving a training to high school seniors next week. And so I don't just randomly start talking about the issues. You got to make the environment as comfortable and safe as possible, and letting them know that resources out there. And if someone does feel comfortable with me, great. But if they don't, that's great too. Just don't keep it in yourself and suffer if you can find someone else that can help you. And so part of my goals are also just letting people know that there's resources out there, that there are organizations, people that will talk to you. Just find someone. If someone treats you poorly and doesn't respond the way you deserve to be treated, find someone else. Just don't let that keep you in, keep you, suffering alone for another 10, 15, 30 years. So yeah, and sometimes it happens, man. One time, I reached out to a couple people. I gave them people oftentimes don't even know what I do. And so when I let them know, one woman comes to mind, and she ended up reaching out in an email. And I knew that was such a big step. And her email, and she feels bad writing it. It's kind of all over the place, but that's okay. It's just her getting out things that she repressed memories for again, years. And so that email was such a big step. And so it took me a long time to respond to everything in the email. And that began a very long relationship, with this woman, and throughout ups and downs in her healing process. So like, she might thank me, but I'm thankful that she would even write that email in the first place.
Yeah. Now, do you feel that people open up to you more like email, text message, or in person, like face to face? Because my first thought is they might feel more comfortable with an email because now it's almost no judgment, because I feel that a lot of our communication is nonverbal, right? Unless you're a professional poker player and can hold your emotions in check and your body language. But I still feel that you could pick up a lot, sitting with somebody, even a therapist of type, So do you feel that they reach out to you more like email or text because it's safer to start?
I think it's both. I think it's mainly in person and on email more than on the phone and in text message. And there's also, I would say, most people don't reach out. So, I've been at book festivals, and, I've seen tons of people walk by, my signs, and some will look and walk away, and some will stand there for a long time. I don't go up to them. Others, it can be as simple as I see a tear down their face, I go and I give them a hug, and they go on their way, and I'll never see them again. And maybe I can hand them, resources or something like that. So it's quite a range. And I think what's important for people to understand is, if they need to come forward with something, that they do it on their timeline, and when they do it, when they feel comfortable, however that may be.
And I'm not comparing anything, but I've been sober for a long time, and that's what was, nobody told me to get sober. Like, nobody was jamming it down my throat. Now, somebody was like thumping on my forehead going, you have a problem. You need to get sober. I'd probably resist that. Right. And be like, well, fuck you, and listening to you talk, and just kind of in my mind, like at that book festival, it takes a lot for them to even stand there.
Definitely.
Right. So for you that's awesome that you can recognize that, and you're just like, here's a safe place, man. Whenever you're ready, come on over. That's it. Or if you don't want to talk to me, here's some resources. Right.
Absolutely.
But do you see, like, use your book fair for an example. Do you see like a woman with her other, like, husband, boyfriend, whatever, and you can pick up that there's something going on, but because he's there, they don't approach you or act like everything's normal because they're afraid of him? Does that, or am I going in a different direction?
No, you actually hit on something very interesting, and congratulations on your sobriety, man. It's awesome.
Oh, thanks, dude. Thanks.
One day at a time, and congrats.
Oh, my saying is not today. So, you drinking? Not today. Then, it's like the free beer tomorrow sign. Not today. Tomorrow's not today. Next day's not today. Right. And that was 1,700 and something not today's ago. So that's yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. And the other thing that I tell people is you can't. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's road to recovery is completely different. There's not one that's the same. The only thing that I say that is even remotely the same for everybody is don't fucking white knuckle it. Don't do it by yourself. Get some help. Get some help. So that's just my little. Obviously, it's different, but it's still the same.
Is it that different though? I mean, there's
know.
similarities, man. There's definitely similarities between the two.
Absolutely, yeah. But let's go back to what we were talking about with having the significant other.
You ask a really interesting question where, yes, there are definitely some women who have never told their partners, and their husbands or boyfriends, don't know. Some of them might be being abused by their own husbands or partner or boyfriends anyways. Or just oftentimes people really do repress it. Or they just kind of let it, they forget about it, and then they kind of get on with their life. They might immerse themselves in work or something else, and then until something like a book festival where you see a sign about sexual violence, and it can freak them out, it can trigger them like that. So that does happen, and it actually goes on the opposite too. There are many men who never tell their partners that they've been sexually abused. I've said in interviews before, I'll never forget, man. I was at a conference for male rape survivors, and it was the women, dude. It was they were bawling, crying, because it felt like, and they didn't say this to me, it just felt like they just recently learned that their husband of like 25 years was sexually abused, and they had no idea. So that is just as intense and powerful. And again, similar. It's kind of like, hey, here's something for you. If you need it, there are resources out there. It's not just people that experience it. It's also significant others, husbands, wives, spouses, partners, siblings.
Yeah.
Similar with alcoholism, just how alcoholism can affect, a family as well, how it can affect, loved ones.
No, absolutely. Oh, well, that's in my heart and in my mind. I said my wife now, she's my girlfriend at the time. I was like, she's gonna not want nothing to do with this dude if he keeps acting like this. So I had to kick that guy out. But now, do you think men don't come forward because of the societal machismo stuff?
In my experience, most people don't come forward, both women and men. I think there is some element possibly of men not coming forward because of whatever societal norm, we may have, but it is a crime of deep pain and deep shame. And regardless of your gender or your sexual identity, regardless of anything, it is incredibly difficult to talk about no matter what. And especially depending if we're talking about ages and children. So you have a lot of men who are abused as boys. And so it's not like our girls and our boys are just coming forward and telling everyone everything. It's not the norm for that to happen. So I think there are many aspects of our society that are welcoming of men, and there are many women and men who would be compassionate to a man who came forward, and many who would not. But in my experience, I see it across.
Jesus, dude. I mean, my mind is just because. So I had a guest on not too long ago, and he had some incidents when he went through foster care, and during that time, and there was a lot of sexual abuse and that type of thing. And he got to the point in his life, he was 14 years old, right in there, he goes 13, 14, 15, that I wanted to be around people so bad that I would piss and shit myself because I felt that I was so scared if I went to the bathroom and came back, that person would be gone. And he says the trauma that he went through up until that point led him to that. And it's just like, holy shit. And his dad had like a boarding house for construction workers and stuff, so you can see how you can put the word, you can put the math together on how terrible of situation that kid was put in. But but he goes, yeah. He goes, I felt less shame shitting myself than I did as if they would leave me.
Wow.
And that alone, and then he's like, that, because I was so eager to be around people, that led to, and the guys were like, oh, hey, if you're that willing, let's go over here. Why don't you come over here? And that led to a lot of, abuse as well. But it was just to hear stories like that, it puts it in perspective when you're walking down the street and you see somebody. You never know oh my God, you never know what they're carrying. And that's why I try to teach my son, and I try to do it as well. I'm no saint, but I try, just be kind to everybody, man. You never know what they're carrying each day. And stories that you have heard, multiply what I'm saying by 1,000. When you're walking down the road, when you see somebody, do all these stories that you hear talking to people like roll through your head? Like, I wonder if that's happened to that person. Or you see somebody kind of solemn sitting at Starbucks just drinking coffee, not working on an iPad or something, you're like, wonder what's going through that dude's head or that lady's head. Does that run through your mind at all?
At times. I think sometimes I might be right, and other times I think I'm way off. And it can be scary that I could at times go to something as dark as like sexual abuse when that isn't really what's happening, with someone, but that's just essentially the trauma of doing the work, in time, I think. But, I want to go back to what you said, and I want to, compliment to you, because that man didn't have to tell you that story. He didn't have to open up to you. So the fact that he did is a testament to you and that he felt comfortable with you to do that, and you gave him a safe space to do that, because he did not have to do that.
No. When he dropped it on me, and I was just like, holy Jesus. And I was telling my wife after, and we had that discussion. We just never know. The guy could treat you, and he was an amazing dude. He's an amazing dude. We had a great conversation, and and then he talked about his attempted suicide because of that kind of stuff. And yeah, nuts, man.
You never know, man. You never know. And you also don't know how much it can mean to someone when you acknowledge something so simple, being like, hey, I like your hair today. Like, oh, your hairstyle looks, you're noticing them. It could be as simple as that could make someone not want to die that moment in time. You just don't know. Sometimes you have an idea of what you can do, and also how we can hurt people as well. But, for the most part, you have no clue what people are going through. And we're talking about, people look at, or they can look at, alcoholics or addicts or, or criminals, and look at them, with negative judgments. But there's many successful people that are seen as essentially pillars in our community, as leaders, that one, can be committing atrocities themselves, but two, are suffering immensely in their personal lives through different kinds of trauma, not just sexual trauma. It could be anything. You really don't know unless, of course, they tell you.
Yeah. No, I was in the scene way back in the day. I was in the scene with distributing narcotics. And some of our biggest customers were extremely wealthy, well-off people.
Oh yeah.
And that's how they dealt with it, man. They just went down that hole at night. And you just don't know. I never knew what, but I'm like, okay, I always wrote it off like stress of the job, because they were huge, high-powered people in finance and that kind of stuff, right? But you don't know that, you don't know what kind of trauma they're going through or what kind of bullshit that they're dealing with. I say bullshit. I don't mean that in a bad way at all, but and your neighbor could be doing it. Your brother. You don't know that unless they tell you. So like you said, hey man, that's a fucking kick-ass shirt. Hey dude, have a great day. I do it all the time. I'm just walking down walking through a store. Hey man, have a great day. People are
dude,
like,
it also
and they're like, you too. It's like they noticed me, right? So I do that. I do it all the time. Like the cashier in New Jersey. If you don't know, we don't pump our gas. We can't pump our own gas in New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Yeah, I've been down the Jersey Turnpike, man. I pump my own gas. Is that new?
No. It's forever. Way back Go ahead.
No, maybe I just went to get a coffee or something. I assumed I pumped my own gas in New Jersey.
Yeah, no. Some places, they got a little rinky-dink gas pump or something, but if you pull into a legitimate like truck stop or something, you can't even operate the gas pump. They got a little card, like it looks like a credit card that they insert that gives ID and it tells. But the guy's pumping my gas. People take that for granted. I'm like, hey man, how you doing today? And they're like, oh, good. Oh, how are you? And I'm like, hey man, well, I'm going in to get a drink. You want anything? And they're like, oh, well, no, thank you, but wow, thanks for asking. They just don't know how to handle it because most people act like they're not even there. You're my fucking servant, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're paid to it. Yeah, so I just try to be cool to people, man. You don't. It boils down to you fucking don't know. And the other thing too is, I don't know, and I don't know if this sounds rude or not. I don't care. You, the way you treat me, that's all I care about, dude. If you were an asshole 10 years ago, well, that's on you. That's something you got to deal with. But if you're nice to me in a slight interaction, I'll be right nice to you back. But like you said, I believe in that very, very much. Hey, man, the Giants suck this year, dude. This guy's got a Giants shirt on. I'm a Giants fan. Burn that fucking coat. And they laugh. And right? I mean, right? Why wouldn't you do something like that? What's the downfall? Okay, so say somebody's walking down the street or you're passing somebody in the grocery store and you're like, holy man, I remember that concert. And they got some shirt on, right?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, man, I remember that concert. What's the worst going to happen? They're not going to say anything and they're going to keep walking. Okay, cool. But maybe in their mind, they're like, holy cow, that person really, somebody just noticed me, but they didn't know how to react. I think about that stuff all the time. So,
dude, it also shows you how absurd it is to like treat people poorly or judge them based on their physical appearance, their hair style, the color of their hair, the clothes they wear. It's ludicrous, man. When I see kids with like t-shirt, like band shirts, I'm like, oh my God, I love that Metallica shirt. That's awesome. You listen to them, you just talk with them. You know what I mean? Like, or again, noticing something different in them or noticing a skill that they have. Like, wow, I've known you for 3 years. I didn't know you're a writer. Like, that's amazing. Like, how do you do that? And yeah, it's people are hurting, bro. Like people hurt in different ways. People are unhappy in different ways. Many people are happy and people do find fulfillment, but there's a lot of pain on this earth. And, if you can be, just cool with them, kind, compassionate, and that might even ultimately lead into something deeper, like, a rape disclosure or talking about your sobriety story where you can help someone get sober. That's amazing. But even just saying to someone hello and you don't know if they want to, kill themselves that day. It's powerful, man.
Yeah.
I wish more people did it.
I know. And that's what, and that's kind of the part of this show, man. I like getting a hold of people like you and talking and spreading that word and, do something nice for somebody today. What's that cost you? Nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Open the door, you don't have to pay for somebody's gas or buy somebody's drink or anything like that. But, you got to figure it out what you can do. But a simple smile and hello don't cost you nothing. And again, if they don't respond back, that has nothing to do with you. And again, most likely They recognized it, made them feel good. And down the road they went, and they're like, "Oh wow, somebody recognized, or no, somebody acknowledged me." Sorry, acknowledged me. But story about that. Around Christmas time, I ran to the grocery store, and I was coming home from work. I said to I texted my wife, "Hey, heading home, you need or want anything?" She's like, "Oh, we need eggs, milk, and bananas." And I said, "All right." So I ran into the store, and in New Jersey, here's another one for you. Grocery stores don't have bags. You have to bring your own bag. But that's a whole other story that I don't want to get into. But so I run in there and I'm just empty handed. I'm a fucking glute, and I just come walking in, dragging my knuckles, and I pick up some milk and bananas and eggs, and I like energy drink, so I grab one and I'm sitting in line. I put all my stuff on the belt, and I'm standing there, and I like to consciously not use my phone when I'm in that situation. So I like to look around and maybe strike up a conversation with somebody, or just see my environment, or not think nothing at all, just kind of relax and enjoy the time. And this lady goes, "Hey, is that all you have?" And I kind of look around, and I said, yeah, these are mine. She tells the cashier, she's like, "Just put that on my bill." And I go, "Oh, you don't have to do that. That's nice." I said, no. And she turns around and gives me the finger of doom, as an older lady. Points a finger in my face and goes, "I'm going to do this for you, young man, and there ain't nothing you can do about it." And she's smiling, right? She's giving me that old lady smile. And I was like, "Oh, you're a sweetheart." And she's like, "Don't tell anybody." I'm like, "Hey, man, that's my line. When somebody says something nice about me, I sound, no, don't tell nobody." And I said, "Again, thank you so much." And she goes, "You look like a nice man and a kind man, and I know you'll pay it forward." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she goes, "Stop calling me ma'am." I go, "My mom will get mad at me if I don't say yes, ma'am to you." She's like, "You're good." She's like, "You're a good boy," and she left. And I was like, "What a great exchange, right?" So now, if I was standing there, my head down, looking at my phone, would have that happened? I don't know. I didn't want nobody to pay for my groceries. I don't care about that. But I look at it. She took a second, looked at me, made a judgment, and then just made a decision, like within seconds, right? So why can't you do that every day? Why can't you look at somebody? A lot of times in a convenience store, I'll go in for a bottle of water, again, energy drink. I like them. And if there's somebody like with a bottle of water or just a coffee or something, I'm like, "Hey man, I got this." They're like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, dude. What was it, fucking $1.49? It just made their fucking day, dude. And I feel good about it too. Right? So, I mean, look, like you with what your profession, well, I keep calling it your profession, dude. I'm sorry. But what you do, helping people. Do you believe that you got to be selfish to be selfless?
It's an interesting question. Do you have to be would you say that again?
Do you believe that you have to be selfish to be selfless?
I don't, because I think the two terms are very different.
It's a good question, right?
It's a great question. It's a great question. There are people who think that there is no selflessness, that everything is selfish. I actually would disagree with that every single act in your life is selfish.
Is selfish or selfless?
Selfish. There are people that think that no matter what you do, you're just selfish, that everything, even the act that you do, is selfish. And it's an interesting question. I mean,
I don't agree. I don't.
Nor do I. But I find it very fascinating. What do you think? I mean, why do you have to be selfish to be selfless?
Okay, so a theory that I've been working on, and I'm leaning in it, and it originated from the classic line, "You got to put your oxygen mask on first." So like when somebody, and I say it to anybody asks me. They say, now you have a family, because fuck, dude, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you asked me if I would be in this position.
Yeah.
But I live a extremely blessed life. I am honored to what I have, but I work for it too, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How many kids do you have?
Just one.
How old?
2 years old.
Oh man, cool.
Yeah, I'm 47, got a toddler. Keeps me
Wow.
young, bro. Keeps me young. But okay, so that being said, when somebody says put your stuff in priority, people in your life, I go, well, shit, dude. It's me, my son, my wife. And they're like, well, that's wrong. I go, according to who? You asked me, dude. I gave you my opinion. Do what I do. Because if I'm not healthy physically, mentally, I'll say spiritually,
Yeah.
how can I be a help to you? How can I be strong for my son and my wife in my inner circle if I'm not in a good spot? So that's where the self I get it confused too. That's where the selflessness comes in before oh shit, dude. Selfishness comes in before the selflessness. So now I am being selfish, taking care of me, not looking past an arm's length, making sure I'm in good shape, all those areas in good shape, right? When I say shape, I'm not just talking about physical. But now me doing that, taking care of me, I can take care of everybody else. So this is the thing this is the thing I've been working on. So I like to ask this question, especially individuals like yourself that have these kind of experiences. What you do and the stories you hear and stuff like that.
So, well, hold on. So I always look at what do the words even mean? What does it mean to be selfish and what does it mean to be selfless? And I always look at the motives of what you're doing. So selfishness inherently, I think, and I'm not saying I'm right, it just, depending on the motive, sounds bad because you only want something for yourself. But if it is true that by being better yourself enables you to be better for others, I question if that's selfish, because I would never call a man who loves his wife and child and wants to be the best person for them as a husband and a father as a selfish man. There are men who do not give a shit about their wives, who actively hurt their wives, do not care about their kids, and they are so selfish within their own selves because all they care about is themselves and no one else. So if you say that it is selfish to be sober, healthy, mind, body, and spirit, and want to maybe eat right or just take care of your kids, okay, if that's what you call selfish, fine. But I know men who actively hurt their own family members. And if those are the two, are they the same things? I'm confused.
Okay.
So again, what's the motive? What is the motive? What's the intention? If the intention is to be better yourself, as you could argue, maybe we all should get to that point, right? We all should try to be better as human beings for ourselves, but really, essentially for other people. But you're just talking about your family. Like, if people call it selfish, say, good, I'm selfish because I want to spend time with my wife and my kid. How is that wrong?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But no, what I'm saying, though, is the selfish part comes in that on a Saturday afternoon, I will go to the gym for 2 hours while my wife and son hang out at the house.
Okay.
Right?
And then what happens when you come back?
Life is fucking good, dude.
But do you spend time with them, or do you go play video games for 3 hours?
No. I spend time with him right up. He walks me out the door into the car, and then when I come home, he greets me at the door. So, and I spend time with him until he goes to bed. Right? But, go ahead.
So I wouldn't, in my opinion, I wouldn't call that selfish. I would call that healthy and necessary. I think all people should take time for themselves.
Right.
That could be in the gym. That could be going for a run. That could be time in prayer and meditation. That could be reading. That could just be, dancing. Whatever it is that people connect with and helps them for a moment in time. And then you spend your whole night with your family. So I don't know if I'm answering you, but I would think, I guess if that's selfish, I would classify that as that's a healthy form of selfishness,
Right.
to do that in that moment in time. And then you go on with your fatherly and husband duties.
And me taking that time for because to me, the gym is more mental health than physical
Mm-hmm.
health, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I could go down the road of in our DNA as men, right? You and I were men
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
way back in the beginning of time, even 500 years ago, knights and brave heart type stuff, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
to make this conversation simple. We went to battle, went to battle that's what we were built for, right?
Mm-hmm.
To defend. And I still think that's in our DNA. So I believe that me personally, I go to the gym and battle the weights and I get that feeling out and my DNA goes, whoa, that's what we're looking for. So now that clears my head and I can move on. And now I can throw my 35-pound son around without even thinking twice about it, right? But I just like that conversation, and I'd like to hear other people's idea behind it, because to me, I'm being selfish, taking time away from him, but he doesn't even know I'm gone. He knows I'm gone, but not like I'm gone for a week. In his mind, obviously I can't determine what's in his mind, but I think that in his mind, I walked out and I came right back. Like, because I'm only gone for 90 minutes, right? So he's young enough to where, he just sees something shiny and a ball rolls by, and now he's chasing that. Next thing he knows, he turns around and I'm standing there again.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It just makes me feel much better. And it makes me feel that the time with my family for me and them is much better, because I'm calmer. I'm, clear, knowing what I want to do and where I want to be. Obviously, that's where I want to be. But yeah, that's just a fun question. I like to get people's answer on it and their thoughts on it. So thanks for answering.
I think it's a great question. I think if that's considered selfish, I would call that a necessary selfishness, and a healthy selfishness to do that, because I don't believe your child thinks, where'd daddy go, and he's so upset that you're gone, per se, because you have to go to work too. So and he's only going to get older, and he's going to go to school one day, and this is part of just healthy growing up. But your child, you said he greets you when you come home from the gym. Yeah, dude, there are other children who are terrified of their fathers.
Yeah,
that they don't even want to be near their father. So, you obviously are doing very important, special things. And again, as a husband and a father, you have deep responsibilities, obviously. But to go to gym, and it's not just you, I would say the same thing for your wife, and I would say for, any parent, you need time, whether it's 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours at times, to take care of yourself, to feed yourself, in different ways. And I'm not talking about food per se, but you know what I mean? I think that's more than healthy and okay.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I know people listening are like, because I've gotten responses from this question in the past too from listeners. So that's always one to get people fired up about, and to think about it right now. If somebody listening is doing it in a negative way, they might say, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I don't need to go to the bar tonight, meet my friends. Maybe I should go home, hang out with my family, right? But then, oh man, there's
Dude,
so many.
it's not even just drinking. It could be, oh, I go to the gym, but I'm going for 4 hours. Well, I work, but no, I'm a workaholic. So people can still have negative vices that are not due with substances, that can take away from family time.
Oh, absolutely. Not play. I guess the classic one is playing video games. But if you are disciplined enough and can play for 45 minutes and not take away that time, I don't know if that clears your head and makes you feel good. Fuck, dude,
Mm.
good for you. I'm not taking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't judge anybody's escapism. Well, it needs to be somewhat moral and legal, but some people's escapism, they tell me, I'm like, yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that, yeah. But you do some good work, man. I bet you have brought peace to a lot of people, and that's got to feel good.
If I have, then that's a blessing, and then I have a responsibility to keep doing it.
Yeah, when you see the results, right? Now, do you have people come back to you and say, "Hey, you've helped me," and like they let you know, or they ghost you and you know that they're doing better?
At times, there are definitely people I have never seen since and may never know, and I couldn't speak to if they're better or not. Some I can, some maybe not.
Yeah, that's got to put a little extra weight on you, don't you think?
It can, but I guess it's something out of my control, right?
Yeah.
It's all I can essentially do. I can pray for them. I can think about them. I could contact them, but I don't know. I might not even have their contact information, like I said, as an example at a festival, if I can meet someone and give them a hug but I don't know their name, I don't know where they live, I don't know their contact information, but they might have my information. If they ever reach out, we could say, wow, we met 5 years ago at that festival. It'd be like, wow, it's really cool. And if not, I can only, essentially hope and pray for their best, but I have no idea.
Whew. So I'm gonna make an assumption on you about you.
Okay.
I'm the type of guy when I'm driving down the road and there's a car accident and the fire trucks and the cops are there. The very first thing I think of, man, I hope everybody's cool. I hope everybody's all right. And I feel that you're the same way.
Mm.
Am I right?
I am, and I feel sad, when you see that. You feel
Yep.
like, oh my God, what happened? Is someone alive? Did someone just die?
Yeah, and when you see the white sheet, you just go, oh,
Yeah.
ugh. Yeah. I've been in truck with people and we drive by like that and they make other comments that I'm like, the hell, dude? That could be your wife. That could be your mom in there. You don't know that. Yeah. But it just, it's like the way that somebody treats the waiter at a restaurant says a lot about them, right? And when somebody makes comments like that about an accident, it just says a lot about them.
It's so interesting, man, too, because I look at, like, again, even kids and adults where we have, you know, really challenging bad behavior, and you're like, sometimes kids do some messed up things, but it's like, no, I call that like a teachable moment where you just try to talk them and teach them through it, and ideally they will take it and learn from it. But some obviously don't, because there are many people who grew up into becoming adults or grown men that do make those awful comments or do actually commit, again, horrific acts. So you try the best you can. That's what I do in my work. I try the best I can in my own, human flawedness and weakness. And if I can help, awesome. And if I can't, find someone else.
Yeah, yeah. I've gone through that with my sobriety. People have reached out, and I'm not for everybody. My attitude about it. So hey, man, that's cool. I wish you well, and if I can help you in the future, obviously reach out. But do you feel, and through your experience, have you seen to where it's generational? So you see abuse or you hear stories about abuse. Do you get into the history a little bit of it and it's generational? So like the man or woman that performed the abuse, they were abused on, or they went through that themselves, or they seen it growing up. So it's like a generational thing.
I think it's a generational thing with those who experience it more so. I would say there are more, say, for example, say some women where a woman is sexually abused, and we haven't even really got into, how much that can affect people. So that can lead someone into, deep shame, deep insecurity, low self-esteem, or no self-esteem. And now she might be in really bad relationships, right? And so now she might be in, now have children with bad relationships, and then maybe her kids will then be sexually abused or abused in different ways. And so that is what I guess I would call maybe generational in terms of abuse. I definitely believe in generational abuse of perpetrators, not so much in terms of sexual violence, although that can happen because not everyone's sexually abused in the home, but most people are abused by someone they know. So if I classified as generational abuse, I think that's definitely true in terms of physical violence, verbal violence, alcoholism per se, maybe, and to some people, sexual abuse definitely. I think it's important to notice that there are many perpetrators of sexual crimes who have been sexually abused, but the majority of people who are sexually abused do not commit sexually violent crimes.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I look at that obviously through sexual violence, but also everything, right? Mm-hmm. How you treat people, like you said, mm-hmm. Verbal abuse. If you grew mm-hmm. up and watched your dad or your mom be verbal abusive to the other, mm-hmm. well, that's what you know. Right.
Dude, it's what you know, and there's such an element of choice in our lives too, of whether it's I'm always amazed, again, inspired by people that don't continue the cycle, that do see horrible things and don't do it. And the other day I was hearing a story of a woman whose husband punches a hole in the wall, and there's two little kids. So can the kids then grow up thinking that's normal and do it? They could. And they also could be so scared or just say, you know what, I will never do this to someone ever. And they do that as well. So you can see it going kind of, it possibly going in different ways.
Yeah, for sure. Getting toward the end here, bro, but I could talk to you for a very, very long time, and we didn't even, and we didn't get into like super nitty gritty, and there's really no reason to do that.
Sure.
Right. To hit the level that we were at, there's no reason to get deeper. There's there's no benefit to anybody, right? Except for shock value, and that doesn't benefit, in the long term, that doesn't benefit anybody. So I'm glad we kept it, at that level. And I'll have your contact information in the show notes, and anybody, I mean, for any reason, fucking reach out. You're a massive information and help and where, direction and the sobriety thing, feel free to reach out to me as well. I always happy to help. But take the mic for a few minutes, man, and let people, do your thing. Let people know where to reach you and any message you want to get out.
Yeah, man, I just want to thank you for having me on. I thank you for, the way you live your life and the choices you make, and, keep doing it. And this work is so not about me. So, there's just a lot of people out there that are hurting. There are a lot of people that are suffering, a lot of people that are hurting themselves in a variety of different ways, and many people that want to kill themselves and do kill themselves. If anyone's out there hearing this, stay alive. Because every second you're alive, you can change. Anything can change. I heard a male rape survivor once told me that alcohol saved his life. Because while it's not great, he was drunk, but at least he was alive. So as long as you stay here, things can be taken care of. If anyone out there has been hurt in any way by someone else, I just hope that it's nothing you did. You're not to blame for any of it. It's what someone else did, and nothing that you've experienced is unspeakable. You just said it. We didn't go super deep, and we don't have to. I only go as deep as people lead me. We try to meet people where they're at. So wherever you're at, in life, someone will listen to you, someone will believe you, and someone will be there with you. And if you don't get that, find someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You have a purpose on this earth, and you'll get through it. You really will.
All right, man. I got goosebumps, dude. Mm-hmm. I commend you, my good man, for what you do. I hope you know that there's a lot of people out there that benefit from that, and you being selfless for sure. So thank you, dude. We're going to get out of here. All right. All right, buddy.
Have a good.
See, like I talked about in the beginning, the world's a better place with somebody like Robert in it. I bet you he would love to hear from you, and if you want to talk to him about anything, get a hold of him. His all the contact information is in the show notes. But I'm going to get you out of here because I know you got shit to do. But don't forget, man, Live Rishi and High Speed Daddy. The links are in the show notes. Support them who support us. And I am hailing you from the birthplace of saltwater taffy, New Jersey. All right, man. Don't act cool. Be cool. Till next time.